Hi, it's Wednesday, March 15th, and I continue to read and wonder my way through John's Gospel. And today we start a new chapter. It's chapter 10. Um, although, we put the chapter designations on because this very much is tied into what we were reading in chapter 9. So in the last chapter, Jesus gave sight to a man who was born blind, and confusion ensued. Okay, like a lot of confusion with everybody. Suffice it to say, the people and the leaders, and by the leaders I mean the capital J Jews, so the Pharisees, the chief priests, those folk, the people and the leaders are divided. Yes, some just don't want to hear about it. Some are clinging to power. I have no doubt, sure, but for many, it's beyond their comprehension what Jesus is presenting, what he is saying, what he is doing. It might be blasphemy. It certainly breaks Sabbath law. So there's discomfort. This can't be from God, and yet for others, a miracle has happened right there in front of their eyes, and they can't deny that. So the confusion continues into this chapter. So let's see what happens. It's John 10, verses 1 to 21, and it's Jesus speaking. Very truly I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he's brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him, because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So again Jesus said to them, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I come that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away. And the wolf snatches them and scatters them. The hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own and they know me, just as the Father knows me and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father. Again, the Jews were divided because of these words, and many of them were saying, he has a demon, he's out of his mind, why listen to him? And others were saying, these are not the words of one who has a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? There we go. As I said, confusion continues. And frankly, between you and me, I don't know that Jesus makes it a whole lot less confusing. I don't know that he helps all that much. One hand, Jesus is the gatekeeper, and then Jesus, okay, never mind that. Okay, I'm the gate. Okay, never mind that. I'm the shepherd. Three different metaphors, similes, now metaphors, for who Jesus is in all of this. And yes, they are confused. But again, this is new material for them, and it's difficult. I have said before, I will reiterate, I believe that this story is a construct. This is John has created this story. Whether it happened in history or not, I don't know, but the way John tells it is John's doing. So when John's talking about confusion, when John has Jesus using slightly mixed metaphors, I think that's intentional. That's not just John sitting at the sidelines watching this all happen, writing it down, going, oh, that's unfortunate. Jesus should have had a better metaphor to begin with. I think the variety of metaphors, the mixed metaphors, I think that's actually important. I think the confusion is important. I think that the way this passage ends, where again the Jews, capital J Jews, the authorities, the Pharisees and temple authorities, they're divided. Why are they divided? Well, because clearly he's possessed. And how could he possibly be possessed? Look at the incredible thing he did. He brought sight to a blind man. That's the same confusion they had before. that is the crux of it. Some people are saying this does not make sense. Right? It's breaking Sabbath law, doing everything wrong, didn't come through us. This does not make sense, can't work. And others saying, but look at it, it makes sense. So we have to change what makes sense to incorporate this. And that really, to me, is what's going on in this chapter and in the last chapter. And no matter how Jesus describes it here, that's the basis of it. Something incredible has happened before your very eyes. Something incredible is unfolding, and you know it. So you need to broaden your understanding to incorporate this thing. With great, not great, with a little apprehension and apologies to my friends far more steeped in liberation theology than I. It's been a long time since I studied liberation theology. But I remember, I think it was Gutierrez, doesn't matter. Anyway, one of the key aspects of liberation theology, which is a theology of liberation that came out of South America, and talks about an experience of negative contrast. So something so bad, something this bad has happened. If the gospel has nothing to say about it, then the gospel is meaningless. So, when looking at poverty, if the gospel has nothing to say about poverty, then the gospel is meaningless because God must be concerned about poverty. Look at it, right? Whatever that injustice may be, if this injustice is so great and the gospel has nothing to say about it, then we reject the gospel or we keep at the gospel until we find it has something to say. So outside of the liberation theology, formal liberation theology, you can say that in terms of environmental degradation or what's going on, with us and the way we live in creation. If the Bible has nothing to say about that, then the Bible is meaningless. So we have to keep looking until we find that connection. Okay, so that's sort of that's sort of one of those fundamental bits of liberation theology. What I hear John here doing is sort of the corollary, I guess, of the opposite. But saying, if something so incredible is happening in front of you, and you can't fit that into your understanding of God, then your understanding of God needs to change, needs to be challenged, needs to be broadened. This man, for all intents and purposes, no matter what he claims to be, this person has brought sight to somebody who has never seen before. This isn't a baby a year and a half old who gets sight, who was born without it, but now it has, whatever needed to happen has happened, and now they can see. This is not somebody who was injured and then healed. This is someone who never had a sense and now has it. This person must be from God. That's the essence of the argument. That's what they're saying at the end. That's what they're saying before this passage, and that's what they're saying at the end of the passage. These are not the words of one who has a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? So for me, this is the challenge. when any of us look out at the world and see amazing things happen, how can we look at those things and say, well, no, that can't be from God because that doesn't fit our view of God. And at the risk of really throwing the cat among the pigeons for folks, for me personally, for a variety of Christians who overlap with me in many ideas, to see the love that is shared within a same-sex couple, to see the beauty and the love shared within the variety of LGBTQ communities. If the argument would be, if my view of God cannot embrace them, then I need a better view of God. Because to see the love that is there, to see the support, to see the care, to see the struggle and the pain, to see all of that and not recognize God, well, you got a problem. I mean, that would be the argument that I make and have made. And I think that John, if John wanted to address that, would have Jesus saying a similar thing. Look at it. It's right in front of you. How can you deny your eyes? Yes, but it doesn't fit our rules. Doesn't fit our rules. Can't be. Nope. No. This must be demon-possessed. This must be evil. Must be. Why must it be evil? Why? What is the threat to you? What is the hurt to you? Why must it be evil? Because it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit our rules. We have been told by people in authority for a very long time that the world looks like this. And when you tell me the world actually is wider than that, no, can't be. It's got to fit into this. Because that's what I trust. That's what I've been told. But the thing is that God can't be contained by our view. And so this is not saying that the Pharisees and the temple authorities, not saying that they have been wrong their whole lives. And I think some of them are a little bit worried about that. I would be. Just that, like, so I've been wrong? I've been doing this for 40 years and I've been wrong? I've been leading people astray? No, you were doing what you could do. And then along comes something more. You didn't have the experience of Jesus before. Now you're having the experience of Jesus, and you need to now broaden your faith and the way you live your faith and the way you teach your faith. You have to. No, but we can't. We've never done it that way before, but we have to. And the arguments that John puts into the mouth of Jesus, and maybe they are Jesus' arguments. Maybe these words were spoken by Jesus and remembered or written down. The variety of metaphors here. But all of them, to me, appeal to this idea, you get this. You know this. Okay? The gatekeeper opens the gate and calls, and the sheep recognize the gatekeeper's voice. Okay, this is where we're supposed to go. And so they go where the gatekeeper, because they know the gatekeeper's voice. They know. Sheep know, right? Animals do know. They know who cares for them. And that's what Jesus is saying. Like, you know, whether I'm the gatekeeper or whether I'm the shepherd, you know. Regardless of what someone may say, you can feel in your bones. You can feel in your heart. You know that this is true. I'm not asking you, Jesus says, to get involved in a debate. I'm not asking you to lay this out like Plato would. I'm asking you to recognize in your ears, in your mind, in your heart, you know what I'm saying to you is true. You want to follow me. And I think that would have been a very compelling argument. It would have been for me. It remains a compelling argument for me. There are times I can sit down and tear down my faith critically, analyze it, throw it aside, and go, this just, seriously, Norm. You're going to what? Defend the Trinity to somebody on a subway? No, you're not. but I know it's true because I feel it and I trust it. And so I go that way. And that to me is what Jesus is saying. Jesus is not saying, throw out all your Sabbath law, throw all that stuff. No. But recognize there are things beyond. When you see evidence of God in the world, it's time to broaden your faith. That to me is what Jesus is saying. And here I am. Not only am I the evidence of it, not only can you feel it, but by the way, I am the way to your truest faith, right? I'm the gatekeeper, I'm the shepherd. In between that, I'm the gate. It is through me. And Jesus has been sort of saying that before. This is about trusting in Jesus. Not just trusting in the concept, but trusting in Jesus. And in that trust, you go through the gate. You discover the shepherd. You go with the shepherd. All of this comes together. But that the proof of it, the affirmation of all of this, will come from within. You know it's true. So now, knowing that a thing is true, now what you need to do is to broaden the way you talk about God. To open your eyes a little wider and see God at work here and God at work there. 2023, for me, is that about seeing God at work in other faith communities, seeing God at work in other collections of people who would not call themselves faith communities at all, but are decidedly atheistic. And for me, it is seeing that very thing. Now, it doesn't help for me to go and tell them that. By the way, you wonderful atheist, I guess you're doing God's work. No, that's patronizing, condescending, and they don't need to hear that. But I can engage with them, believing in my heart that they are doing God's work. What I call God's work. And by the way, maybe my metaphors are the ones that will not endure. But I know how they work today for me right now. But it's realizing that God is not contained by my traditions, my habits, my denomination, even my broader statement of faith, my faith. God is bigger than that. And then when you see evidence of God, not being afraid to look out beyond your comfort zone. I'm pretty sure that my church admin is putting a sign up today that says something to the effect of, real discovery begins just outside your comfort zone. I have heard it said that life begins outside your comfort zone. Well, I would say faith is beyond your comfort zone, and that's what Jesus is doing, inviting these people who are divided to trust themselves and move outside their comfort zone, which is funny to think that, in fact, our comfort zone comes in trusting ourselves. But that might be true. Do you think? I wonder how much we trust ourselves. I like a lot of external validation. I have lots of colleagues, people I've worked with over the years. My goodness, they've made a decision, but until they get 6 people to agree with them, they won't dare to take the step. Because they just don't seem to trust themselves. Now, I don't know their journey and how they came to be who they are. For all I know, as children, they were punished every time they misstepped, so they're very careful. I don't know. But there are times I just want to take some of these people and hug them and just go, oh, God, trust yourself. It's okay. You don't need everyone to agree. Go ahead, step out. By the way, you can always step back if you've made a misstep. But step. But step. Jesus is added to the confusion with this, I'm the gatekeeper, I'm the shepherd, I'm the gate. The thing is, I'm all around you. So go ahead. There's nowhere you can be that I'm not with you somehow in all of this. Whether I'm the shepherd or the gatekeeper or just the gate itself, it's okay. If you misstep and go the wrong way, I'm going to call you back. um, yeah. And I guess, I should wonder a little bit about some of the other things that he says in an effort to sort of highlight himself and get us to trust ourselves. But he does point out that, anyone who does not enter by the sheepfold does not enter by the gate, but climbs in another way is a thief and a bandit. Okay, so that sounds like I got to do it Jesus' way. But then Jesus also says that he has other people that we don't know. And he brings them. Other people he don't know. Is that Gentiles we're talking about in this Jewish context? In 2023, is that non-Christians that we're talking about? We're talking about bringing together Protestants and Catholics, Orthodox and Catholics. What are we talking about? What are these other people? So on one hand, Jesus seems to be saying there's a way to do it, and that way is me. But I am broad because you don't know all the people that I'm connected to. It does get confusing. I found helpful, though, this idea that Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. I live for you, with you, because of you. Hired hand, by the way, hired hands aren't bad people, but the hired hands don't have the same investment. And if it's dangerous and they got to choose between themselves and the flock, they're going to choose themselves, and they will go. They will run. That's the truth. Anyone who's run a business knows that. Your employees are not as invested in the business as you are. Their lives don't depend on it. Their wage does. I have had, I think of friends that I've had, owning restaurants going, I don't understand why the staff don't care as much. I'm like, well, because you don't pay them as much. You want them to care? Help them invest in the business so that it becomes their business, right? Well, I think Jesus is suggesting that some of the capital J Jews, some of the people in authority, are more invested in themselves than they are in the faith at this point. So if things are going fine, good. They're trustworthy. But if things are going to go sideways, they will protect themselves. And I think some of the Pharisees are doing that. They are protecting themselves. They have a position of authority. They have an understanding. If you add new things, I don't have time to learn that. I don't want continuing education. Oh, trust me, I hear that from lots of colleagues. I don't want continuing education. I learned all my stuff. Oh, yeah, that's the leader I want to be. I want to be in that person's community, the one who stopped learning. But we do. We protect us. I'm not as smart as I once was. I can't learn new things. And Jesus is going, no. I am in this. I am in this with you. I will die. This is what matters the most. This is not about my wage. This is who I am. I am your shepherd. I am with you. We are in this together. And that's just not the same for the Pharisees or the leaders, whoever they may be. And the people would have looked around and go, well, yeah, no, Pharisee Cohen, he's always been there for me. Oh my God, he would. I know he would. He is literally giving me the shirt off his back. He would die for me. I get that. But those other guys, I don't know. I don't think so. That's part of it. We look around and see who's in this with us. And Jesus is saying, I am. Now, I think that John has added a knowledge of the crucifixion and the resurrection. When he says, I will lay down my life, we're definitely meant to hear this and think about the crucifixion. Was Jesus telling us about the crucifixion in advance? I'm fine with yes, he is. He's aware and he knows and he's telling us. But I'm also okay if people say, nah, he didn't know that yet, or he wouldn't have been telling it. But for John, Jesus knows. For John, not only does Jesus know, but that's why Jesus came. right? It's verse 17 that I read to you. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, he says, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have the power to lay it down. I have the power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father. That, for me, is John saying, as far as he's concerned, when it comes to Jesus, Jesus is in our midst at this time and place to be crucified and resurrected. So Jesus being arrested, humiliated, crucified, all of those things were not a political plan gone sideways. They weren't a mistake. The resurrection isn't God saving Jesus. The plan has always been this. Jesus has come to lay down his life. That's why Jesus is here in this time, in this place, to be crucified and to be resurrected. One isn't healing the other. Both of those things are meant to happen, as far as John is concerned. That's the point. And I would say that's the point because it shows God, it shows Jesus, therefore God, in the human condition, in the world, experiencing full humanity, which is to say betrayal, humiliation, pain, death. Those are human things. You can't dance through life and call yourself fully human without having experienced those things. And by the way, none of us do. None of us avoid death. But I think part of the message is as much as those things are part of our human existence, so too is the resurrection. Because God is with us. Because we are one with God. We know the shepherd's voice. He's one with us. He's the gatekeeper. He's the gate. He's the shepherd. He's all. What happens for Jesus happens for us. And that's, again, a claim that John has made earlier in this gospel. So I think that John is giving us his sense of who Jesus is. What happens in Jerusalem in the events that we record as Easter were not a mistake. They were not a plan gone awry. That was always the intention. So everybody is playing their part. If that's the case, we can wonder a little bit later about Judas, Pilate, etc. All of the bad guys. Even the chief priests and the Pharisees and the ones who in our stories conspire against Jesus. Jesus is here to be crucified. No one takes it from me, he says of his own life. I lay it down of my own accord. And those who set the stage for that to happen are complicit with Jesus, not betraying. Now I've opened a whole new thing, haven't I? I'm going to leave it there. I think that's more than enough wondering for the day. And wondering about Jesus, wondering about John, wondering about all of this. I'm going to leave it with you, and we'll see what happens tomorrow when we pick it up. For now, let me offer a prayer. Loving God, thank you for wonder. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for the opportunity to look beyond where we usually look and discover your presence, your action, your love. God, may our wondering help us broaden our view that we might see more of you. May our faith grow because of this time and wondering. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, through the Holy Spirit. Amen. And that is enough for me today, but until I see you tomorrow, just God bless you. And I do hope I get to see you tomorrow. But whenever I get to see you, just God bless you. Please know that God sees you and God loves you. That God not only loves you, but God chooses to love the world through you. You make a very big difference. Don't ever doubt that. Until we see each other, God bless.